everybody, and thanks for joining us. My name is Christa. I'm a volunteer for OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology, and I am here with Lynn Bell. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Christa. Thank you for being here.
Of course, of course. We're going to talk about the retreat that's happening in October. So I'm going to share my screen and come up to this. This is actually on your website, and I liked that it had just a picture of it and the description. Lynn is going to be leading a track at the Cosmic Shift Retreat in the middle of October in Park City, Utah. But before we get there, I wanted to introduce everybody to Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Lynn. I'm going to read a little bit of your bio. We talked earlier about just how awkward it is to sit there and have somebody just read your bio to you. But you do have quite a history in astrology. You've been, a consulting astrologer for a very long time, for 4 decades. You're particularly interested in the archetypal images that impact the soul and illuminate the psychological and spiritual growth of individuals. We talked earlier that you, taught at the school in London, and how there wasn't really a need for self-promotion because everybody knew about it already, and how different it is now to really have to just like tell people who you are, because there's just so many other schools out there, so many other astrologers, which is great, but it's just a different world. It's a different world.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
you teach online still for the Astrology University in MISPA. You're speaking at this conference or this retreat coming up. You've spoken at conferences before, and you have a couple of books. If you want to talk about those.
Well, just I want to talk about a couple of things. I mean, one
Yeah.
is I live in Paris, and I was born in the US and taught for a long time in London. So I have this, I've lived in many different worlds, and I love to move through those worlds and meet people. And I think one of the things that's extraordinary about going to a place like Utah for a retreat is you get to come together and really be with people in a deep way. And explore material in depth. And it's so rare to be able to do that. We all come from different places. And last year, when I was in Utah, it was one of the most. It was just wonderful. It really felt like an the alembic of the alchemical process. Plus, it's a very beautiful place. So, my books are one of my books is Planetary Threads, which is on family patterns in the birth chart. And the other is Cycles of Light, exploring the mystery of solar returns. And these are not what I'm talking about this time. I'm talking about how we look at really powerful aspect dynamics in our chart and how they set up repeating patterns in our lives, in our psyche, in our emotion, in what seems to be our fate. Like, how do we keep living the same situation? And we learn, we always learn a certain level of aspects, but for me, aspects are the key to the energetic dynamic of a chart, and being able to see how they function, not just 2 planets together, but 3 or 4, or the way repeating patterns get underlined in a chart. And it's a very I working with this with clients is so rewarding, especially when you work with clients over a long period of time. Sometimes we think, oh, we're just doing a reading, but in fact, what we're doing as astrologers is really reaching very deeply into the soul path of other people and how they tend to respond to events. And so this is something pretty pretty extraordinary and that I love to do.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised the other day just thinking about, I was like, when you read for a client, they themselves are so brave to come to sometimes a stranger and give you their birth chart, and just how vulnerable and powerful that is to be able to, one, have the language to be able to look at someone's birth chart and extract some things that are just so beautiful and faded and magical, but then also just how brave it is for clients to come in and offer that up, whether they realize it in the moment or not. Just like what a beautiful exchange that is, sometimes between strangers.
Right. Yes. I think that's true. It is wonderful to be able to do that. And at the same time, what we're looking at is, so I think sometimes when you're a young astrologer, and I was like this, of course, I thought, well, we'll just change, just do this, like, and of course, we understand that things are more, that there are tethers and there are things that bind us to situations or bind us to a way of seeing a situation. And when we go in and start exploring how that works and which part of it you pull on or which part of it you push, or like a button that you push that sort of begins to shift things. First of all, you understand what the person is carrying, and then you go further with it.
Yeah, so you do this in client work, and you're going to be leading this track here at the OPA retreat in Utah. Can you just speak a little bit of, I mean, it's 3 days of the retreat with hopefully a travel day on either side so that you're not traveling on the day that you arrive and leave.
I'll be in the States beforehand, so
Yeah.
I have I'll be well over jet lag.
Oh, good, good. But just for an attendee that's looking at this retreat, can you describe just what to expect over those 3 days of that deep astrology and connection with other people?
Well, the first day that we're there, what will everybody presents each other because we're in small groups here. I mean, last year our groups were 10 or 11 because because Anne Ortley had an accident and broke her femur, and we kind of took took her group. Some of people desisted and other people came, and we took members of her group. But what people did is they presented themselves and what they were really interested in learning about, what were the things that they did not know, what were the mysteries in their own charts, or what were things they were there to understand. So to some extent, what I do over the 3 days is also shaped by what the people in the group are going to bring me. There's a huge amount here. Obviously, I'm going to talk about planetary structures. People know what T squares are, but and I'll be talking about yods. I'll be talking about combination structures. I'll be talking about where something goes into a repeat pattern or an overdrive, and you just see it running in a person's chart. And what's the moment? And we'll be looking for the keys into how you release that. What else is there? What's your ally, right? How do you wake up to something you can't stop doing, right?
Yeah, that sounds that sounds incredible.
Yeah, and
Um,
I like to work deeply, so
yeah.
yeah. No, it's not like coming to class and getting ABC, although there is obviously structure to it. Um, you're it's really this idea of what you do with uh, something in a chart that's a conundrum. Like not long ago, I was working with a client who had the sun opposition Saturn, and a Leo sun opposition Saturn and Aquarius. And she's not an astrologer in any way. And actually I've seen clients of both generations, both those who are uh, in their 30s and those who are in their 60s, like talking to people, the same aspect, but totally different generations. And with one of them, there was this pattern of always being blocked or stopped by something outside the self. And that idea, and we were talking about the whole idea of obedience or the whole idea of something that stopped you and made you feel you couldn't be yourself. And I think it was really a revelation for the individual. I mean, for astrologers, that's not surprising. But when we tie it into other aspects in the chart, like when is a Leo not allowed to be a Leo? When when do you have to deal with a kind of pressure? what is it that stops you from being completely who you can be? And so I think these are the things I'm interested in.
Yeah, and I think that even if you do study astrology and you are an astrologer yourself, you can still be surprised by your own chart. Like, why did I not see that before? And sometimes it takes other people to reflect back on you that you hadn't been paying attention to that the whole time.
Well, and also it's the right moment. I mean, I see things in my chart all the time. The chart is a kind of a guideline. I'll say, oh, look at that. This is where I've been. I've just been refiring this pattern over and over again. And okay, time to stop this. And it sometimes you feel you can't do it, especially in relationships when you have yours meets another person's. You can get into a repeating pattern. And you're like, how did I get here? And that's why I mention here also. So in the beginning, we're going to be looking at the chart itself. We're going to be looking at how complex aspects have allies in the chart, and then we'll be looking at timing. When is an ideal time for these patterns to release and shift into something else? So there's really three parts of the 3 days. You could say identifying these things, seeing where help comes from, where there are alternative pathways, and then looking to some extent at timing and cases of timing from the past. So I could say that that's a global structure
Yeah.
that for the 3 days.
Yeah, and hopefully some sort of options for roadmaps out of those difficult patterns, because a pattern isn't just something that has to repeat. Sometimes it takes some effort to do that, and the effort in this case is looking at the astrology of it. So I think that's really lovely.
Uh, Not just looking at the astrology, but actually
Mm.
acknowledging in a way how we get caught, uh, how and we know that very important work for each individual. We break through to something, and then maybe 10 years later it comes up again in a similar form or a different form, and it's the next level puzzle, or the next level problem that we're asked to solve. So it isn't gone exactly. It tends to, there's a shape that certain things tend to follow that we can see as the astrology, but it also has to do with inner acknowledgement of what it is, where that pattern is, and when you do this with other people, there it's so wonderful because they are there to see, to reflect, to support you, to be kind. Sometimes that I mean, we had such a wonderful group last year. That's why I wanted to come back this year because it was a delight from beginning to end. And being in Park City, of course, such a beautiful place where the Olympics will be in 2020, the Winter Olympics, the next Winter Olympics.
Oh, I
My
forget what year that is. Yeah,
whatever
the
that
next one, either yeah, soon.
Iceland, and then the one after will be in Park City. So
Wow.
and up until now, it's been the Sundance Festival, and so this it's a place where when we were there last year, it actually snowed one day, and the next day we were like out in short without any jackets. Like I mean, we went through every season within the well, it was a little longer last year within the 5 days. It was fantastic.
Yeah, this concept of not just looking using hindsight and foresight, looking back through past astrological moments or looking ahead, but then also using your own insight to kind of weave those two together. It requires participation. It's not just leaning on these predictive patterns, but that insight of the timing of using it now. And like you said, in 10 years, you might need to like revisit, or the moment might just have revisiting, because now you have a decade of hopefully the insight of that same thing that will then change the shape of what that looks like.
Yeah, for example, if I go back to my example of Saturn Sun, for example, like what is it that stopped you? Okay, what is it outside yourself that stopped you? And then having to see what inside yourself has stopped you, and so the question isn't the same, but the same two planets can describe a kind of a dialogue or a pattern that is almost a lifelong process. And we always surprise ourselves, and we have the potential to learn throughout our lives. And so, when you think, I mean, I've never assumed I know my chart. And working with clients, there are people I've worked with for many, many years, who come to me every year, or sometimes they go away for a while and come back. But those people, uh, those things are really, every once in a while I work with that chart, I know them really well, and something completely new will emerge that neither of us have understood in this way. And that's the magic of doing astrology.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to this here. So if you go to the OPA website, this is what it's going to look like. And you can go to menu, and then up here at the retreat, the very top one is the Utah retreat. And if you scroll down, you can see all of the options. A lot of it is sold out already. So if you're curious about doing it, I would go ahead and sign up, because it's limited. You can click on Lynn here and read a little bit more about the track and about Lynn herself. Did you want to say something?
I did, because there's a coupon, there's a discount
Oh,
coupon, which I think is good until August 31st
okay.
of $55.
Oh,
Uh,
that's worth, yeah.
I think it's still running. So that's another motivation to sign up
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get it while it's hot.
Also, good time to get your flights if you're coming from far away.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in that window of getting a really good, getting your best deal on a flight.
Yeah. It's coming up, but it's a little far away. There's the details of just the logistics and where it's at, um, where you fly into, how to get to this beautiful resort. It's been hot where I am. I know it's been hot in Paris. That does not look that appealing right now, but I'm sure it will be in October.
Krista, where it's Krista, have you been to Park City or no?
I have been to Park City just on my own, not for this event. So I know that it's going to be gorgeous. It's just currently it has been so bleeding hot here in the South that the idea of going into a hot tub just, yeah,
Well, you
not.
go into the hot tub when you're cold, when
Yeah.
cold, actually. I mean, as I said, we did have a day of snow, but
Yeah,
what's great about Park City is it's hot in the day and cold at night.
yeah,
So you take off layers, but you definitely need a jacket at night.
yeah. This is how you sign up for Lynn's track. And all the information is right here. I know that you've been here before, so just as like a soft pitch, how would you sell this to somebody if they were curious about it? I mean, this morning when I woke up, I have so many trees and so many clouds around me that it's hard for me to see the sky a lot. But this morning I saw the moon, Venus, and Jupiter
Oh,
together,
wonderful.
and just seeing something like that with my own eyes, it is a different experience than just looking at a picture on my phone. And I think that that's the difference of doing something in person, exchanging energy in person versus doing an online workshop, which are very functional and useful. But talk to me a little bit about doing something in person with other people.
Well, there's a couple of things that happen. I mean, one is that we're in townhouses. So it's almost like we have a home. It's like you're coming, there are two levels. So, for example, I would be staying upstairs. There's a small kitchen, and generally there's would share the townhouse with a participant who's not in my track. Um, but when you come in, we organize the space in such a way that we're um, pretty intimate. It's not like coming to a conference where you're sitting in a lecture hall and you don't have time to exchange. Okay, so for me, one of the things is exchanging and hearing other people's voices. right? Meeting people, having a deep connection both with self and with other. And you learn so much when you teach live. After COVID, I started a supervision group in Paris with really just because I wanted real people. Right? Like, because I missed because for so many years I taught in person, and so I had those kind of exchanges, and that's really why I'm coming. But also we're in this great place, and there's also a little fireplace, which again, if you're hot, you're not going to think about lighting, but um, and you walk. You might be staying in one of these buildings and you might be staying elsewhere, but you walk outside through quite a beautiful landscape. And it's at a high altitude, so you're breathing really good air and you're, um, uh, I think that people who came, I don't know if you read the comments from last year, but there were really incredibly positive comments about the retreat. So.
I'm going to look those up, and I won't be able to make it for this year. So I'm living
Right.
vicariously through all the other people that are attending.
So
So,
it will be, yeah, about one day. Well, I don't know if they'll do it in the same place. I think this is the first time that they've done a retreat in the same location
mhm,
because they liked it so much,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Well, maybe that portends for a three-peat.
Yeah, perhaps. No, I know they've done things in other places in Utah and in Sedona and in other wonderful locations. So, yeah, I'd really recommend it mid-October because of that. And
Yeah,
people did come from all over the country last year,
yeah.
so and there were people who come from Europe. I remember there were some people on Rick's track who came from uh, I think I want to say Denmark, no, Sweden.
Mm,
There were people from the UK. There were people from very far away. So when you say, "Oh no, we're still under the limit for airlines," you have to think that the audience for these retreats is not just American,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So people who come from other places to dive in.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. All right, well, I'm going to close out with your website. You can learn all about Lynn. You have quite a catalog of videos and blogs. You can read about
You
your
click on the
books.
video. Could you click on the
Yeah.
video? I think there's something. How outer planets call us to destiny. Yes. Yeah, there's lots of things here from things I've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There's one I really, really like. Wait a minute, where can I mean, it's really from a long time ago. Oh my God, I interviewed Andre Barbeau.
That's great.
Um, the stars, the planets, and the citadel. This is a really interesting one because it was interviewed way before this was posted. Um, some years before, and it's done by professionals about the T-square that happened at the beginning of cardinal signs when Uranus was in Aries,
Ah,
etc. And I
uh-huh.
think that things that are said there are still very predictive of what we're in now. So,
Wow,
so it's kind of interesting to go back.
that's great. Yeah.
So,
All right, well, tell everybody how to get in touch with you if you want them to.
sure. So on my website, it's lynnbellastrology@gmail.com. The lynnbellastrology.com. So you find my contact info here. It goes to one of my addresses, and you can always email me if you want more information about this, or if you yeah, I sometimes am a little overwhelmed, so I'm slow to answer emails. So if sometimes people write me for a reading and I just don't have availability, so I take a while to respond, but then I eventually will.
All right, well, thank you, Belle. Thank you, Lynn Bell. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I hope that you can join us for the retreat in October in Park City, Utah. And thanks so much for your time, Lynn. It was nice to get to know you via video and to learn about you.
Okay, it's the same, Krista. Really thanks for doing these. They're
Yeah.
really valuable for people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to get a little taste of, what the human behind this the trek lectures and intensives and just the kind of the leaders of these little small circles of people. I kind of feel like these things that, you know, even if you don't ever see the people again that are in your track, you're kind of bonded to them just from going through these experiences together, learning at these
Oh,
fated times.
I think people do reconnect. Actually, I
Yeah.
think people make wonderful connections. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, last time we were doing family patterns, so it's very profound work. This time will be a little bit different. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. Thanks everybody for joining us.
bye bye.
Bye.